was disengagement. It was not being willing to apply yourself sufficiently to what was going on, and a lot of moments where any one of us might have been much more interested in thinking about what they were doing that weekend, or and the concentrated activity was rather diluted. And I'm sure for a very pushing, driving sort of person like Roger was more frustrating than it was for anyone else, although considerably frustrating for all of us, I suspect. That was very striking, the way his eyes would look straight through you sometimes. And when you would talk to him, I'm talking 3 or 4 years earlier, of course, you would be talking on one plane, the one that you and I are talking on and that most of us talk on, and Syd's responses would be on a different one that would be very, very hard to understand exactly what he was trying to communicate. It would sound, it didn't sound like it was gibberish. It sounded like it meant something, but it just felt that I was not the one who was capable of understanding exactly what he was saying, which is a very unusual and disconcerting way to have conversations. It did stem from those first 4 notes that popped out of the guitar one day in King's Cross. The notes came from nowhere. They just sort of fell out and created this thing, but there was something about them that evoked feelings in myself and in Roger particularly. Roger has said in the past and that is what happens when you sit and work together and jam. There are these rare, it has to be said, but there are moments where some little thing will emerge by any one of us and will create the starting point, the foundation for you to be able to build something, because it creates an emotional background for you to work within. Somehow those notes evoked a song about Syd and his disappearance, absence, if you like, in Roger, but without having to actually have access to Roger's conscious thought of it being about Syd. The rest of us could also hear the emotional content that was in what we were beginning to put together, and that music started being written and didn't, I can't remember at what point the idea of it being about Syd and being called Shine On You Crazy Diamond came in, but it would have continued to be worked on and to start taking some sort of shape even before that lyric idea came in. But I confess I can't remember the chronology exactly. I travel by train most of the time when I'm traveling in Europe. I'm not over keen, Polly's particularly not over keen on flight, and we find that we mostly get to places pretty nearly as quick, in much more genteel comfort by the train. And when you're in France, that's the SNCF jingle. Is, it's catchy. I recorded it with my iPhone, brought it back here, made up a tune, recorded it, played it to Polly, and there you are, there you have it. I've got 1 or 2 other bits of sounds that I have recorded of noise. I've got one that I have yet to use. I haven't written a song with it yet. That is the noise a particular car makes when its door is open, to warn you that the door is open. It's just one noise and it's insistent, but maybe one day, I don't know. Anyway, music just presents itself to me any way it can. And now with having, we all carry around a recording studio, a film studio, an address book, even a phone. It's all there in your pocket all the time. Yeah. So when little moments present themselves to you and you're open to it, you can make a little quick note and then put it back in your pocket and forget it and come back to it. Now I'm just rehearsing. I'm constantly trying to get into shape, one way or another. But you know, I don't want to be, you know, I'm not in my 20s. I don't want to be schlepping all over the planet, playing every city. I just don't want to do that. I don't feel like doing that. And I'm going to be forcing people to come to me a bit more on this one. I'm sorry about that, but you know. Roger would say that it's all in the context. I suspect now, I'm not sure how good an idea it was to put something out like that as a single. We do need teachers. I mean, Roger was talking about the type of teachers and the type of teaching that was fairly common in schools in this country when we were growing up. But no, I think I wouldn't put that out as a song right now. To me, it's about the most complete album in some ways. The balance between the musical strength and the emotions that are tied up within pure music and the greatness of the lyrics come together in a balance which is as close to my idea of perfection in that area as I can think of. And we all know how difficult it was to get to that point and the problems we had, you know, Roger feeling quite accurately, I think, that, you know, there was an awful lot of absence, you know, an awful lot of people not really quite being there in this post-Dark Side of the Moon period where we were all having to assess what we were in this business for, why we were doing it, whether we were artists or business people, and having achieved the sort of success and money out of it all that could fulfill anyone's wildest teenage dreams, why we would still want to continue to do it. Roger, I think, has sometimes said that he thinks that we were kind of finished at that point. And he may have been right, but I think for me it was a temporary finish. And me, anyway, I wouldn't like to speak for anyone else, recovered my appetite for making popular music after a while, probably during the making of that album. Well, you know, there's the legendary argument that I must have had with the rest of them about my thought at the time that it would be better to use the other two tracks as well that we had been working on in the same rehearsal room in King's Cross, and Roger deciding that that wasn't the way forward and me thinking that it was, and some sort of argument going on for a day or two, I imagine. Again, I can't really remember. But then it was, you know, as every work of ours has ever been, where you just put your heads down and you work on a piece and see where it can fit within the scheme of things and how it's going to create a dynamic build. And we were never too afraid of leaving quite a long period of time instrumental before vocals came in. And one of the things that I think is sort of better about it than Dark Side of the Moon is the space that is there, and our ability to just create an emotional mood and let it sit and build itself up for quite a long period of time. Not something that many of us or many other people are brave enough to go with. Attention spans have changed, I think.